and welcome. You have tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma, and with me as always is Cheryl D'Souza. And viewers, this is the show where you get answers for all your stock-related queries. In a short while from now, we will connect with our experts where you get a chance to ask your queries to them. But before that, let's have a look at what the markets are up to. So Cheryl, great moves across the board, and it's the Adani Group of Pack which is quite charged up today.
Actually, not today, even yesterday or come Friday also, they were all charged up, actually, if you go to see that way. Shrishti, but there is a news flow also that is supporting this sort of a move coming in for the Adani Group of counters. But before that, let's take a look at what the benchmarks are doing. We did open up at fresh record high levels once again when it comes to the benchmark indices. Nifty surpassing 20,800 mark. You have Sensex that surpassed 69,000 mark, as well as Nifty Bank that has now crossed the 47,000 mark. So all of them at record high levels. Add to the list the broader markets, mid cap and the small cap index as well. So strong going for the markets. However, the advanced decline ratio for now is a tad bit in the favor of the gainers as we speak. Like Shrishti mentioned, yes, Adani Group of counters are having a good run in trade today. So top two gainers on the Nifty, Adani Enterprises and Adani Ports, followed by SBI, Axis Bank, BPCL, M&M. They are the other set of counters that are gaining in trade today. But on the flip side, let's look at the losing end of the market. And you have HCL Tech that's taking a bit easy, LTI Mindtree that is down, Bajaj Auto, Divi's Laboratories and Infosys. So looking at the way how the print for now is looking like on the Nifty index, it's suffice to say the fact that IT index is the top sectoral loser as we speak. 0.7% downtick coming in for IT index. Realty index also taking a bit easy in trade today, while metal, PSU Bank, energy, all of them are charged up in trade today, and most of them are PSU counters definitely. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time, Shrishti. But yes, when we talk at ET Now, or usually in Buy Now, Sell Now, we only talk about the equity market, the stocks that are actually moving, scaling new highs. But actually over the last 2-3 trading session, shockingly, you have gold that has scaled a new all-time high, and not just that, you have Bitcoin that surpassed 42,000 to the $42,000 mark as well. We have Sharad who is here to tell us what is happening over here and why such a silent move. Actually, we've been focusing so much on Indian markets that we actually didn't see this coming, isn't it?
Yes, a very silent move you could say, and of course not only gold, is Bitcoin also, and of course last year this asset class was not so much discussed. But let's talk about gold, how the movement has happened. It has reached the levels of more than $21,500 a mark, and do remember that the Fed commentary is expected to be dovish, and the trader community is expecting that there would be a rate cut expected next year going ahead. Because of that, some indicators are there, especially the dollar index as well as the 10-year treasury yields. That has also come down, and because of that also we can see the Brent gold actually going up at near its fresh time high levels. Apart from this, Bitcoin, that's the number which you're looking at. It has breached the $42,000 mark, and this is the highest level seen since April 2022. And of course, two important reasons coming for it. First is the expectations of the interest rate reduction, and also a greater demand coming from the exchange traded funded, and also the global crypto market that has also increased by almost 2 to 3% over the last 24 hours, with the market capitalization of more than $1.5 trillion.
Yes, great gains coming in on gold. But with this, let's go across and listen out to why Samir Arora still has gold in his portfolio and what his rationale behind it.
Still has gold in his portfolio. A quite sizable part of his portfolio is gold. Actually, find out how much of gold in his portfolio does he have.
Regarding gold, which I actually own a reasonable amount in my personal portfolio, some 8-10% of my portfolio. Broadly, I used to think that these high interest rates won't help gold, and I was getting ready to sort of sell it off. But then realized that these US depreciation expected, and also these geopolitics and all, means that gold should actually be there for long, forever. I have held it since 2008 or 7. That actually it is supposed to be bought and forgotten.
All right, so that is Samir Arora. And like I said, sizable amount of chunk in gold in his portfolio, approximately 8 to 10% of his portfolio he has gold, and 60 to 70% of that is in actually equity. But let's talk about the asset classes altogether then, actually, Sharad. And yes, Like we've seen Indian markets move higher. Gold has surpassed 2100 to dollar per ounce mark. You're back home, you have gold at record high levels. But what have asset classes done over the last 1 year?
Well, if you see, if you're an Indian investor, dollar terms, let's compare Bitcoin and gold. This year itself, 2023 year-to-date returns, if you look at it, Bitcoin has given more than 150% returns. But do remember that the exchanges or the traders, which the Bitcoin traders are, still the volumes are really very low because of the regulatory and the taxation issues. Looking at gold, internationally it's up 12%, and if you look at the domestic MCX gold prices, that is also up almost 15% this year. Now, if you had invested in Nifty, the returns would have been roughly 15% this year. But the broader indices, that is where we see action coming in, with the Nifty small cap index and the Nifty mid cap index giving returns between 40 to 49% this year. But clearly, Bitcoin has been one of the top asset class in terms of performance this year.
All right, so those are, that's the way how the asset classes have actually performed in the year gone by, but or this year itself, we are just in the last month of 2023. But yes, a great move, surprising move coming for Bitcoin, 152% uptick coming for Bitcoin, gold as well, 12% up move coming on that particular account, that particular asset class, and Nifty, as you can see, 15% uptick coming in the year 2023. But what does this mean for your portfolio, and how should you actually go ahead and diversify your portfolio? Or for the matter of fact, is it the time to look at gold-linked stocks? Let's bring on board our guest for today. We have Kunal Botha as well as Shahina Mukaddam joining us. A very good morning to you, Shahina, as well as Kunal. Thank you so much for joining us in ET9. And Kunal, actually, I'll start this time the discussion first with you, because I remember very clearly earlier on in this year when we spoke about gold in particular, buy now, sell now lens itself, you said that you had a target of about 70,000 rupees when it comes to the Indian gold, the MCX gold. Are you happy right now? I don't think all of us are happy as consumers when you look at the gold prices. And as I think as a spouse, you should also be a little concerned, no, with the high prices.
I think first of all, I think you should be happy. I'm sure there's some portion of gold which is definitely there. Yeah, you may always complain that you may not have invested full throttle as per your expectations, but then that's what investing is all about. Now, in terms of the view going forward, I would still believe that gold as an asset class would continue to perform very well. I'm not saying that this asset class would perform exceptionally well going forward, and then it could probably beat the returns for equities over longer term. I still believe that equities will always have an upper hand given the longer term time scale, but I think gold also as an asset class should have some portion in terms of everyone's portfolio. I currently, from the chartical perspective, silver is something as an asset class which looks very attractive. In dollar terms, it's given a very big breakout of a falling trendline resistance, and I believe that that's an asset class which could probably hold a lot of significance going forward. So maintain that bullish stance for both the asset classes, gold as well as silver.
Okay, continue to be bullish on gold as well as silver. But Shahina, coming to you, gold is always dear to the ladies. But as an investor, wanted to know that were you able to participate in the kind of a rally that we have seen in the gold in this particular year, and what is the outlook ahead?
I normally buy gold as just for enjoyment. So I don't really look at it personally as a, as a very good investment opportunity vis-a-vis equities. And as you've seen, like for example, if you had invested in Titan, 15 or 10 years back, and you compare it with the return that you got from gold, I think Titan would outperform. So in a similar way, as we've even seen in the current year, the small cap, mid cap have outperformed, by a huge margin to gold. Having said that, I do agree that gold for an investor who's looking at the long term to hedge his portfolio could have a small, portion of his portfolio in gold, because yes, it has liquidity. And it has, given the current scenario in terms of geopolitical issues, the dollar depreciation, yes, gold can form a small percentage of your portfolio. But at the same time, I believe, a larger part should remain in equities. And as far as Bitcoins go, I think it is extremely risky. And it is best left to, extremely risky traders. So a normal investor, I believe, should not really dip his hands into Bitcoin. But of course, you can invest a bit in gold, and you have equities. You can look at equity stocks which are linked to gold, like for example, Titan, which is extremely expensive currently. At same time, given the return ratios, given the performance, given the way the company has expanded in terms of its product book, I think to that extent, you can look at any dips, any major dip you get to add it to your long-term portfolio, and you can also look at other, stocks which are linked, like for example, Manuparam Finance. So I think to that extent, you can look at other companies which are linked to gold to remain sort of get that opportunity also.
So those are the picks that or ways how you can also participate in this gold rally. In case you have not actually already participated in it, you can look at gold financiers, at least is what Shahina is saying. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Before we do that, actually, we seen a sharp rally in the markets. But what are your market pundits saying? Is it time to shift your allocation from the small caps to the large caps? Listen in.
India as a country has outperformed over, as I keep saying, 5, 10, 20, and 25 years. It is number one in the world in US dollars, and in over 15 years is number two. Now, coming to within India to try and outperform that index, I think large caps will do well. A, because it is easy for new investors, particularly foreign investors, who are looking at India seriously, not only because India is doing well, but because they are getting bugged out of shape in China. The larger cap financials is the easiest to buy. They're also a large part of the index. So even if these guys underweight, overweight, they still have to put, if not 30 odd percent, then 25%, but all that has to go into the same large cap names. And within those three groups, which is financials, consumer, and IT, it is easiest to buy financials because they are doing well and the stock prices have not done well. And then there is IT, which is not doing well and where the stocks have actually done well this year. And then there's consumer, which is more difficult to buy because they are always on paper looking expensive with normal growth. I'm talking about the big consumer guys.
I think what's happened is a lot of retail frenzies happened in mid and small caps. This is investing is also about your downside protection. Look, the retail investors have made a lot more money than kind of a circumspect institutional investors like us. But what institutional investors do is do a bit of a downside protection also. So I think that is where it makes sense, having made so much money in these mid caps where valuations are expensive, growth is yet to rebound. It makes more sense to move to the large caps where the risk return is a lot more favorable and your downside is lower. Should globally there be an accident, look, you can protect your capital a lot more.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and ET Now and ET Now Swadesh, in line with helping Indians rise with India, have partnered with Sundaram Mutual to launch Nivesh Day, a groundbreaking campaign to help viewers build their personal finance portfolios through regular and disciplined investing. And it's Nivesh Day that is being celebrated on the 5th of every month. That means today is a Nivesh Day. So join ET Now Swadesh and Sundaram Mutual to learn how you can build your financial future with an SIP in mutual funds. And having said that, this is Buy Now Sell Now, a show where we get you answers for all of your stock related query. Viewers, you can write to us on the WhatsApp number, mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in, mention that name as well, the buy price, the quantity, as well as the time horizon. If you've already purchased, and if you've not purchased the stock, then do tell us for how long you intend to hold a particular counter. In that way, our experts will be able to help you better. And talking about experts, today we have Kunal Bothra as well as Shahina Mukaddam joining us on the show. Once again, good morning, both of you. And let's continue, or rather, let's start taking the queries then. And the first one is coming in from Suresh. He's writing to us from Kerala. And he has 200 shares of Ambuja Cements, which he's purchased at 243 rupees per share. Now he wants to know, is it profitable to buy some more of the shares right now? What's your take on that, Kunal? Given the fact that it already has this counter from the levels of 243, you think it makes sense to buy right now, or should he partially book profits?
Well, I think you should not look to add at current levels, and especially after today's news flow for the stock price in the last 2 days, where it's jumped up from 460 to now almost 500 plus levels. So a good level to buy Ambuja Cement or to average is closer to the 200-day moving average, which is around 420 mark currently. I'm not sure whether the stock will actually correct to those levels yet again, but I think a better level to buy or average at current levels would be maybe closer 460 mark. So that could be a starting point in case if the stock happens to correct or consolidate to those levels. That's a zone where you can look to average further.
Okay, moving on to the next one. And Shahina, this query is from Karanta Sukanya, and he wants to know what's your take on KCP Limited? Is this a good bet for a medium to long term perspective, and can he go ahead and enter at current market price? Any take on this?
Yeah, actually he can. Things are looking up for KCP, so it's a buy from here also.
All right, this one is coming in from Indu. This one is for you, Kunal. CESC is the stock that she's holding with 20% gain. She's asking, is there any further scope of upside in this particular count in the near term, or should she go ahead and look to book profits given the fact she's sitting on a healthy profit 20%?
Well, I think it's a good time to actually start to look to book profits. 116 was approximately my target for CSE on an intraday basis. The stock came towards, I think, 114 odd mark, but from there it's now showing signs of some bit of profit booking. So I believe that it's a good zone where you could look to book out your profits and shift on to some other stock from the power name. For example, Tata Power could be an interesting bet at current levels.
Okay, another medium to long term query, Shahina, and this one is coming from Jay Krishnan from Kerala, and he wants to know, is VST Tillers a good company to enter at current levels?
VST Tillers, yeah, I think it's better that he looks to buy it at dips because the stock is in a consolidation phase. But for the medium to longer term, yeah, he can buy it at dips.
All right. Moving on to the next query then, and this one is coming from Kusuma from Pune. And Kunal, she wants your inputs on BSE as well as Bajaj Auto. She's looking to buy these counters for the next 3 to 6 months. So one, she wants to know whether it's what is the right price to buy them, and also what sort of a target should she look at for BSE and Bajaj Auto both. Given the fact both of them have had a very great run, you think is it advisable to buy right?
Well, I would not advise to buy both of these names, even though they are at a very strong momentum as well as trend for themselves. Because what's actually happening is, for example, Bajaj Auto, rather BSE, I'll start off with that. The stock, even though it's made a pattern of higher highs for itself, the RSIs on the daily charts have been consistently making lower highs for itself, which means that it's rising up on the back of receding momentum, and that generally indicates that eventually the stock would get into a corrective phase, and I sense that the correction could probably take the stock back towards 2000 mark or at least below. So which means a good starting point for BSE should be at least 20% lower from current levels. And even for Bajaj Auto, the stock is showing signs of a extreme overbought on the daily as well as on the weekly charts. So wait out for a significant bout of correction and then look to chip into these names.
Okay, Kunal, what's your take on Bombay Burma? Viewer, he didn't share his name actually. His name is Raja, and Raja wants to know your take on Bombay Burma. Is this a good bet for medium to long term?
Well, it's a good bet for a medium to long term, low beta stock. The only catch I think with this stock is the liquidity, because I think if I'm not wrong, the average trading volume for the stock is around 18,000 to 20,000 odd shares on NSE at least. So I think that's the only catch with a stock like Bombay Burma. But I think on the long-term trajectory, it's a more consistent stock. Has I think given returns on a consistent basis year on year, at least over the last 3 to 4 years. So you can go ahead with that.
All right, Shahina, coming to you. This one's coming from Sanjay Kumar, and the stocks that he is looking to buy, one is Orient Green Power and the other one is Suzlon Energy. And among these two, he's asking which one is a better one for him to buy. Do you think both of them, do they make sense to buy for the longer term or even for the medium term? Or should he look at better quality names when it comes to the power sector if he wants to play that theme?
Well, both have done very well if you see the last couple of months, and both continue to remain in the limelight as terms of things moving up. The balance sheet being revamped. So if one is an investor in them, one can continue to hold with a strict stop loss because they have given you a substantially good return in the shorter term. Also, you can look to add for the long-term portfolio something like a Tata Power, which I think is doing very well in terms of its business growth and also in the renewable energy space.
Okay, Shahina, the next query that I have is coming from Kathir from Bangalore, and he wants a view on Natco Pharma with an investment horizon for 5+ years. He has already bought some quantity, around 100 shares at the current market price. So given the move that we have seen in the pharma space, should he continue to be bullish in Natco Pharma?
I think for the shorter or medium term, Natco Pharma is going through a difficult phase, so it is not my topic in the pharma sector. If the investor is already invested and he wants to hold it for the long term, that's a different issue. But I think for the medium term, the other stocks which I would prefer over Natco Pharma, something like maybe an Urbindo or even a Dr. Reddy at dips, because there's some issues with FD even with Dr. Reddy. So I think one can look at other alternate stocks rather than Natco for the shorter to medium term.
All right, Kunal, coming to you then. This one is coming in from Amit Mishra, who's writing to us from Bangalore. He has ICICI Bank December futures at an average of 941. He wants to know whether he should book profit or hold. And the other one is Glenmark Pharma, 794 rupees for December expiry. Book loss or hold?
Glenmark Pharma, I think you should continue to hold on. And I would probably sense that maybe you'll have to roll it over to the Jan series, because I don't expect the stock to do too much say in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully you'll have to look at the rollover and possibly you will look out for targets upside closer to 820, 825 mark for Glenmark Pharma. ICICI Bank now it's at a very dual kind of a stage. On the very short term charts, like on the intraday charts as well as on daily basis, the stock seems to be getting into a bit of a frothy or an overbought zone, but that would probably result into a very minor kind of a correction, maybe 20-30 points correction for ICICI Bank, but that could probably throw in an opportunity for traders who have missed out into the rally to maybe buy back again. So you'll have to position yourself accordingly. If you're looking at it as an extremely short term play and want to try and time this 20 point, 30 point correction, then it makes sense to book profits and then buy on dips. If not, then continue to hold on.
Okay, moving on to the next one, Kunal. Meenakshi wants a short-term view on Biocon. Her buy price is 234 rupees.
Well, you can hold on to the stock, but I am not sure by short term what time frame you're looking out for. If it's maybe specific towards say 3 to 4 weeks or 1.5 odd month odd max, then I don't believe that makes sense to stay invested into the stock from a much more optimistic perspective. It's still going through its own set of issues. The trend is still not clear for Biocon. After a sharp correction on the back of higher volumes, this rally is on the back of much lower volumes, which means that the bottom is not in place for the stock price. So in these kind of scenario, it is always it always makes sense to try and book profits on a short term basis and don't carry forward your positions from a medium to long term play.
All right, on that note, we slip into a break in this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. When we come back, we continue taking your query viewers, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now, show where we get you answers for all your stock-related queries. And today onto the show, we have Kunal Bothra as well as Shahina Mukaddam to guide you better. And Shahina, coming to you for the next one. This query is from Tara from Chennai. She's a long-term investor and wants the take on Vodafone Idea as well as Wockhardt Pharma. Please let her know that she should continue holding both of these counters. She didn't share her buy price, but given what's your view on both of these names? Should she continue to hold on?
Well, yeah, she can continue to hold on both. While neither is my top picks in their individual sectors like telecom and pharma, I think both are showing good momentum. So these are stocks for the momentum investor rather than long-term portfolio stocks.
Next one is for you. This one is coming from Sunil G. He's from Vadodara and he's a senior citizen and he's holding Aisha Motors for the last 10 years. He's made multi-bag of profits in this particular counter is what he's saying. He wants to know technically, now you think is a good time to book out total profits or partial profits in this particular counter. He's saying he can hold on to medium term as well. Given the fact that he's held on to this one for the last 10 years, made spectacular returns in this one. In 6 months alone only, we've seen what this stock has been doing, or rather for the last 3 years itself. What's your take coming on Aisha Motor? Book out complete profits, partial profit? What's our strategy?
I think you should continue to hold on. Now, you've been a patient investor over the last 10 years. So I think such kind of rallies would probably have happened for Aisha Motors over the last 10 years, I'm pretty sure. Now what you have to look out for is that which are the next set of targets on the upside, or whether this is just an isolated rally for Aisha Motors as compared to the other names. You've seen so many two-wheeler stocks like Hero MotoCorp, Bajaj Auto have given breakouts for themselves. So I think Aisha Motors is also coming out of a major multi-month, multi-year consolidation. I would be bullish on the stock from a medium to longer term time frame. And I think since you've bought at lower levels, I'm assuming that you've managed to hold on to the stock, continue to do that.
Okay, moving on to the next one, and this one is on Union Bank. Dr. Uday Singh Kunal is holding 1,000 shares of Union Bank from a price of 114 rupees. Can he expect a target of 130 rupees in a week's time? Is his query.
I'm not sure in a week's time, because I would actually believe that maybe there could be some bit of profit booking which could emerge into these stocks over the near term. So, these stocks may get into their individual phases of correction. Maybe a 2% to 5% kind of a broad correction is something which you can expect from the levels of, I think, 117 or 16 for stock like Union Bank, which it hit today. So I would suggest that have a nominal kind of a target. If you've bought at lower levels, you can probably try and book profits close to 118, 120 range and look to buy back again on dips.
All right, this one is coming in from Amit Sood. This one is for you, Shahina. Honeywell Automation. He wants to know, is it a good bet for the longer term? And if yes, then do you think now is the right time for him to enter this particular counter?
Yeah, I think he can enter the counter at this time because there's a lot of projects that are coming up. So I think one can look at it. It's a decent infra stock to invest in for the longer term.
Okay, moving on to the next one, and this query is from Venkatesh from Indonesia. And Kunal, at this point in time, he's requesting you to give him 3 investment ideas for the next 3 years. So any of your top recommendations there?
So I'll go with large cap banking names. I think the risk reward over here still is very attractive. Go with ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. These are the 2 names, best names available. If you're looking at a mid cap end of the banking name, I would suggest PNB at current levels of, I think, 80, 82 levels where the stock is trading right now. And if you're looking at a larger cap name, another large cap name, then I think Reliance Industries also at current levels of 2,400 approximately looks fairly attractive. That's a stock which has been an underperformer, but I believe eventually over a longer term time span, the stock can get back into this zone of covering up the underperformance and then moving up significantly higher.
All right, this one is coming in from Ranjit from Gurgaon, and he wants to know which stock should he look to invest about 1 lakh or so for a period of 1 year. I believe that he wants to invest the entire amount in that one particular counter. And Kunal, he's saying that he's identified Devyani International. Do you think that it's a good stock for him to actually look at putting all of his money in for a period of 1 year? Will he make good returns?
See, my only concern now with the charts for Devyani International is that the stock has been reeling below the 200 DMA since the last 1 week. Now look at it this way, in the best of the market trends, like what we've seen in the last 1 week, 1 month, if a stock is unable to get into a breakout mode and still continues to struggle, I'm not sure whether that's a good sign for traders as well as investors to continue to be bullish onto the stock price and park the money over there. So I think purely in that aspect of the underperformance, the stock reeling below its long-term moving averages, as of now, I would suggest to stay away.
Okay, Shaina, the other query that I have is on Relaxo. Saroja from Bangalore holding 80 shares from a price of 980 rupees at a loss in this particular name, but and she's been holding this for the past 1 year. She's a long-term investor. Good to hold on this particular account, or maybe look out for other opportunities?
Relaxo looks good for the medium to longer term. I think the stock has given some bit of correction because the numbers were not that great, but one can continue holding it at current levels.
All right. This one is coming from Kiran, who's writing to us from Pune. And Kunal, first of all, she's telling you thank you very much for your expertise. She's actually benefited from your advice. Now she wants to know if it's a good time to enter Saxoft as well as Hudco for a period of 6 to 12 months.
Well, Saxoft I would not suggest so, because the stock is already in the ASM group. Again, liquidity concerns for the stock price. It's at an extremely overbought nature on the monthly chart. So I think 400 has been the high for the stock on the monthly quarterly basis, and the stock is at 330, which means it started off into a corrective phase. And looking at the longer term charts, the extent of making money or the probability of making money over here is quite significantly low. Hudco on the other hand, I think, is getting into a breakout zone. I think it's almost at 85, 86 levels currently, nearing towards a breakout in the longer term charts. That's something which you can look at current levels, but then keep some powder dry. I believe in case if there is any further leg of correction into the stock price, say it comes closer to 78 or 79 levels, look to average out further.
Okay, Kunal, the next query that I have is coming from Neelam, and since you have been suggesting to accumulate the large cap stocks, she has shortlisted stocks like Tata Motors, M&M, Trent, Titan, L&T and Coal India. So any of the stock that you would suggest to enter into maybe for a medium term?
So, good quality names which you have shortlisted. I think Tata Motors is something which you can consider even at current levels of 700ish where the stock is trading right now. Coal India is also another attractive name, a PSU stock. Yes, the stock has run up in the last 6 or 8 months. So, there's bound to be a short-term correction which could come into these names. But I think buying these stocks and having them on your portfolio, looking at trying to encash on the larger trend could be much more better. Titan also is another name which I think is managed to sprung up on the charts in terms of a breakout. Trent, I would not be comfortable now at 2,800, 900 levels where the stock is trading right now. On the yearly charts, the indicators are significantly overbought. So I believe that sooner or later the stock would get
The broader markets, Kunal, in particular, given the fact that we've been actually talking about the fact that how people are now trying to, or we have a lot of market veterans actually saying that it's time to look at large caps, book out smaller profits or book out partial profits from broader markets. Is that what's playing out in the markets right now? Are you seeing some, this is profit booking that you're seeing in the broader markets in particular right now?
So yeah, it's collective. It's profit booking in the mid caps, small caps. It's shifting towards large caps, which is also being one of the dominant trends in the last 2 days of the market rally. And the third, the most important, is that many of these small caps and mid caps in the last 1 week or so had already started to stagnate as such. So there was, yes, there was a mild bit of rally in maybe 3 out of 10 stocks from the mid cap end, but then there was no significant breakout which was seen into most of the names. So I believe that we have already started to see that shift. That shift could get a lot more prominent going forward, where the mid caps may continue to underperform and large caps, especially the benchmark indices Nifty and Bank Nifty, may continue to outperform.
Okay, so that's the take between the large cap and the mid cap space. But getting back to your stock queries then, and Shahina, what's your view on RAC? Shaikh from Bangalore has bought 700 shares from a price of 190 rupees. Already had great profits in this one, but should he continue to hold this for a long-term wealth creation? What's your outlook?
I think it's still looking good, both fundamentally as well as I think technically. So you should continue to hold it. It's very good dividend pay. So one can continue holding RAC.
Right, this one also is coming for you, Shahina. This one is on the very recently listed counter, that is ASK Automotive, and this one is coming from Tushar. He is asking about this counter for the longer term. He already has 300 shares that he purchased at current market price, around current market price of 286 rupees per share. He's saying that they have a new set up a new plant and they expect to have a good revenue from it. They are also in the business of advanced braking in the high entry barriers. But do you think the fundamentals of this company are intact, a good company to invest in, given the fact that it's a recently listed counter? He's purchased at a price that it is trading at currently.
Well, I think the business is good, but the stock has not been a very good performer since listing. So I would take this opportunity actually if he's making money to exit.
That's the take on ASK Automotive. But Kunal, what's your view on IGL? Pradeep has bought 300 shares from a price of 404 rupees. And what's your view on this one?
See, I think yesterday also I mentioned that I'm not extremely optimistic on the prospects for IGL. The stock had gone very sharp correction, I think, in the last 1 month or so, from 500 odd levels to 375, 380. And right now what you're seeing is just maybe a major, minor bounce back after a major correction for the stock. So don't be too much enthused about the stock price rally. I think if you're making maybe a couple of percentage points or 3 or 5 percentage points as a swing trade, that's the best which you can get into such kind of minor rallies into the stock.
All right, this one is for you, Shahina. Coming in from Sudhir from Kochi. He wants to know if it's right time to enter Astra Micro, Latent View and MTAR Tech. He's saying he can hold on to these counter for the longer term. Do you think it's right time to enter all three of them, or which one do you think stands out amongst these three?
Well, all of them have done well actually. If you see the recent past, Astra Micro benefiting from defense orders where it has got its edge in terms of electronics. The other ones that you mentioned were Latent. I think Latent also is extremely expensive in terms of valuation. But after the sharp correction that it had seen, you've seen buying coming back. So I think one can continue holding on to these stocks and look at it in terms of adding only at dips and not at current levels.
Okay, so that's the take on Latent View. But with this, it's time to slip into a very short break in this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi there, welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now and ET Now. And let's continue taking your queries, but in the rapid fire mode. And Kunal, coming first to you. This one is coming from Pratiksha, holding MTA Tech at a price of 2,555 rupees per share. She's making loss. She can hold on for the next 1 year. What should she do? Continue to stay put with MTA Tech?
Continue to hold on. If the stock corrects towards 2050 levels, that's a good zone to average.
Kunal, what's your view on BOB? Ashish is holding 2,400 shares from a price of 190 rupees. Hold or sell?
Book profits and look to buy back again closer to 201 mark.
Prashant wants to know about BEL. He's purchased at levels of 104 rupees per share. Shahina, for the medium to long term, how much returns can he expect from this particular counter?
He can expect decent returns. The stock has already given good returns, so hold.
Shahina, what's your view on SAIL? Ravi is holding 800 shares from a price of 98 rupees. Good to hold on or exit at this point?
Hold.
Kunal, Lakshmi wants to invest 1 lakh rupees. Do you think that ITC is a good stock that she can put all that money into?
Well, yes, I think it's a good stock to put money.
Shahina, any take on Rajesh Exports? Sachin is holding shares from a price of 513 rupees. What to do in this one?
It's a hold actually at current levels. The stock, yeah.
Alright, Shahina, Giridhar wants to know any stock in realty, hotel and metals that you recommend to buy for the long term?
Indian hotels, of course, is good. And realty, you can look at Prestige Estates.
Okay, Kunal, Dr. Ravi is planning to buy South Indian Bank at current levels for the 1 year investment horizon. Would you suggest the same?
I would not suggest so. Better to shift towards prominent or a formidable larger cap name.
Alright, 300 shares of Bharti Airtel at a price of 830 rupees per share. Anand is making good profits on this particular counter in Airtel. What's your take, Kunal? What should he do? Book partial profits or hold on to it?
Yeah, book part profits.
Shahina, Deepak Dave is a long-term investor holding Geo Financials from a price of 225 rupees. Exit, hold or add?
Hold.
Alright, with that we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as the query segment. Thank you so much, Kunal, as well as Shahina, for joining us on the show, talking about various asset classes, especially about gold-linked stocks and what should one do when it comes to large cap and the small cap space. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And viewers, we have an exclusive conversation lined up for you with the management of Aster DM Healthcare. We have Mr. Azad Moopen, who is the CMD of the company, joining us on the show right now. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us in ET Now. And firstly, let's talk about your company. Is Aster DM to offer any equity stake to strategic investors, including PE funds? And this I'm talking about your India business.
So we are now in the process of the segregation between GCC and India, which has been announced, and it will take some time. So whatever we do regarding any involvement with the strategic players will be post that. And the only thing which we think is possible is that we have one of our PE firms who have been with us for nearly 10 years now. They may exit, and this is an opportunity for refreshing our PE partners.
Hi, very good morning, Mr. Azad. This is Shrishti also joining in, but wanted some more clarity on this news. Which PE firm is looking to exit Aster DM? Can you name the same?
This is Olympus Capital, who has been with us for 10 years, and if they get an exit with the appropriate financial benefits, I think they will exit because they have been with us for a long period.
So looking at the data that I have currently, if you look at Olympus Capital, they have about 19% equity stake in Aster DM Healthcare. Will they be looking to sell the entire 19%, or will they actually look to hold a small portion of their equity?
They have not decided. It all depends on the pricing. So when we discuss with them, they have said that if there's a proper valuation received for that, they will look at it. So depending on that, it could be partial, it could be complete, it could be in different ways, is what I think. This is my opinion. They have to decide.
Okay, Mr. Azad, are promoters of Aster DM in discussions with investors to offer an equity stake in the company?
See, we get lot of inward inquiries regarding people participation. Whatever is that we are getting is mostly regarding the availability of any stake, and people have never approached us for buying any stake from us. That's not on the cards, and we have made it clear that we want to remain invested whatever we have presently, and we would like to be there. So the inquiries which have come inside is on the stake which is available, which is mostly the stake of Olympus Capital. And now that this transaction is announced, even though it is not yet over, the number of people who are approaching us significantly increased. Global large PE firms are contacting us regularly, and we have said that let us get this over, and post that we can go ahead with from our side. But of course, they may be discussing with the the investors or our shareholders. So that's a different thing. But directly with the company, that's what we have indicated.
To get this right, Mr. Mopin, and just to be very sure of that, you said the promoters want to look to remain investors. So promoters won't be looking to dilute their holdings or offer their stake in Aster DM to anyone. Is there anything on the cards, or is there nothing on the cards? So you don't have any plans for dilution of promoter stake? Is that what we can say outrightly?
Yeah, there is nothing on the cards. We are not thinking about any dilution. We would like to remain invested. If you remember, 6 months back, we in fact increased our stake from what it was earlier by 4%. So there is no plan as such for any dilution, because we would like to lead this business both in GCC as well as in India. And that's the intention. So there is no plan for dilution of our stake.
Okay, but Mr. Azad, since there are a lot of news flow regarding the additions, deletions, as well as the restructuring, would the promoters like to remain the biggest shareholder in Aster DM? Is this good to say this?
So we would like to be the largest investor. We even now don't have a majority. We hold only 42%. So we have been the largest single investor as the promoter, and we would like to keep that position.
So earlier on in the show, we did speak about you all are in talks with the various investors. If you could tell us which investors are you in discussions with?
I don't think I'll be able to disclose that, because very preliminary people many people approach, so I won't be able to give names because it is more confidential.
Absolutely understand that, Mr. Mopin. Thank you so much, however, joining on the show, being very candid about the plans coming in for Aster DM Healthcare going ahead. And thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And that was the CMD of Aster DM Healthcare. Remember, that particular stock has been in focus over the last 2 weeks, or rather for the last 1 year itself, on that particular business plans. But on that note, we are totally out of time on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Thank you so much for watching.